There was a major Supreme Court decision related to abortion pills that went down, I believe, not too long ago. You were pretty frustrated with it. You submitted an amicus brief, I believe, with Senator Bill Cassidy. You've been a member of the pro-life caucus before. I believe you were once the chairman as well.
I am.
What are you aiming for right now when it comes to this amicus brief related to the mifepristone decision?
Sure. I hope everybody listening realizes that mifepristone, the so-called abortion pill, is baby poison. It starves the baby to death. That's its operational. When a woman takes the abortion pills, that's what it does to the baby. What was largely unknown is that it is very dangerous to women as well. The most recent study that was done found, and it was finished last April, that 1 out of every 11 women have serious adverse events that happen to them within about 45 days after taking the pill, including sepsis, requiring hospitalization, as well as very severe hemorrhaging that could lead to death. 11%. The FDA had previously said it was 1/2 of 1%, and that's because beginning with Clinton, who brought this terrible pill to the United States. His first executive order when he got elected was to send his FDA commissioner Kessler to France, to Rousseau-Leclerc, that was then marketing it, and said, we want it here. We don't want it here. It's baby poison. It's also very dangerous to women. Now, the Louisiana Attorney General brought a brilliant case about how the mail order sending of this terrible, dangerous drug through the mail without any kind of doctor intervention or any health professional. It's like going to Kmart or going to Walmart. You just punch in a few things and you get the pill. It is very dangerous to women because it gets more dangerous as the gestational period increases. So that's not being considered by anyone in the health profession. You're just getting it by way of mail order. And her case also highlights a woman named Rosalie, who actually was by her boyfriend forced to abort, and they got the pills. The guy got the pills from California, again by way of mail order. So it is just dangerous to women. It also leads to coercion, where boyfriends don't want the baby, or husbands even, but boyfriends, and they put it in a drink. We don't know how large that is, but we know it's a growing problem. And again, there's no health professional. If she's got an ectopic pregnancy, taking this pill could be dangerous to her health and even lead to death as well. So I can't believe the mantra used to be, and I've been in the pro-life movement with my wife for 52 years. We got involved while we were in college. The mantra has always been a doctor and a woman make the decision, one that leaves out the baby, and that's sad and tragic beyond words. But now it's mail order. And it also violates the Comstock Act, which says you can't send abortion pills or any kind of abortion apparatus through the mail. And that's being violated. So Louisiana, Texas, Florida, all these wonderful state legislatures and governors who have protected the life of their unborn children are having those laws undermined and usurped by an abortion industry that couldn't care less about either the baby or the mother. And again, if they would just look at that, I mean, the study that was done last year, Ryan, was the largest study ever. And there was no reporting bias because of the way they did it was to look at insurance data, emergency rooms, going to the hospital and staying there because of sepsis. And again, sepsis is very, very dangerous. So the cover-up of the abortion pill, mifepristone, has to end. And it has to end now. And the data is right there to do so. Minimally, what this case will do, and the Supreme Court takes it up on May 11th. We're hoping they'll move quickly. The cover-up has to end. And this, at the minimum, the mail order big business has to end.
And I wanted to point out these comments that were made by one of the heads of the Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life Foundation, where she in many ways put some of the blame on President Trump, saying that the Trump administration has in some cases abandoned the anti-abortion movement, the pro-life movement. Do you think that criticism is valid?
Well, I think Marty McCary and should act, as FDA commissioner. He ought to be acting more proactively. I talked to him on two occasions. And again, I raised this study that has been done. Again, I've never seen a study that's so comprehensive. You know what the Obama administration did and the Biden administration? They admonished healthcare professionals, this before it was mail order, not even to report adverse events. Biden took it to the worst, where nothing gets reported. So how can they construe the abortion pill to be so safe when adverse events are not being reported? Which is why this blockbuster study that was done blows apart the big lie in the cover-up. So we're hoping that the administration will move quickly. If they need additional documentation, I think out of an abundance of concern for women's lives, this thing needs to be stopped immediately because women are dying. And again, these things don't get reported normally. You know, there was a Dr. Willard Cates who ran the CDC's abortion surveillance unit many, many years ago. And he made a very, very keen observation about reporting adverse events, or in the case in point, live births that were happening in later term abortions. They were actually surviving only to be suffocated or whatever. He said, why would any health, Planned Parenthood or anybody else, report an adverse event? It's like reporting yourself to the IRS. Nothing good comes of it. So they cover it up, and they cover it up all the time to the detriment of women's lives, morbidity and mortality. And of course, the babies are being decimated, starved to death. I asked the head of the United Nations, Gutierrez, because he pushes this really hard.
Do you think McCary is doing enough here when it comes to
No,
that?
I think he needs to do more, and I think he needs to do it immediately. I mean, Susan B. Anthony is right that we need to, out of an abundance of concern, like I said a moment ago, for women's lives as well as babies, because both are victimized by the abortion pill. And so they need to move, and the evidence is overwhelming. I've read that study from top to bottom. More than 860,000, people were studied. I never saw a study so large. The magnitude is enormous, and 10.93% serious event, usually within 45 days after taking the pills. That's 11%. What drug causes such horrific consequences? It should be pulled from the market. But
when we do
before
talk
that,
about the
even
SCOTUS decision,
stop
sir,
the mail order of this dangerous drug.
and it probably has cut you off, but like when we talk about the SCOTUS decision, this is a conservative Supreme Court that made this ruling. So is there anything that you can read into that when it comes to the ruling?
No, I think, Alito did a very preliminary stay on, to stop the lower court from being in effect, which I think on May 11th, my hope and prayer is they just follow the science. And I think the Supreme Court will say that's it. It violates, one, it enables coercion against women. Secondly, it's violated the Comstock Act. But then most importantly are the dangers to women. You know, we've been talking about the dangers to the baby for years. We were pretty much unaware of how dangerous this particular baby poison was to the women. So it's women poison as well. Why do we want that going through the mail, surreptitiously going to one place after another, and only to kill the baby and wound and maybe even kill the mom too?
All right, Congressman Chris Smith from the great state of New Jersey. We thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox, and hopefully we'll have you on again soon. Thank you.
Ryan, thank you so very, very much, and keep up the great work.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.